Okay, so if I understand right, Rod, we're dealing with the cancer, and you've had it for years.
But I've just always sort of thought I was a bad person. And what came out of that, she asked me a couple questions, and I said, my brother used to tell me I was a bad person when we were kids before my parents made enough money that we didn't share the same room. And he wasn't physically abusive, but he was psychologically much larger than I physically, and psychologically, he just decided he did not like the new kid in town. That was pretty clear. And then I'm shortening this quite a bit, but I had quite an experience. I found myself, see if I can remember this correctly. I found myself pondering, do I need to forgive my brother? And it was not stupid, so yeah, but how? Calling him is not necessarily effective. I haven't talked to him in several years. And so while I was thinking about it, all of a sudden I had a vision. And I was back at good old Menlo that put that dent in your retirement fund. And we won a soccer game. And, we were just a little bitty soccer team, but we were playing South San Francisco. And they were a big soccer team. And so it was, early on in my career, I was junior varsity. And I wasn't really very good at it. Football was my game, but they were always short of people at Menlo to fill a team. And so I volunteered, and the French soccer coach looked at me and he said, "We don't have a goalie. You want to be a goalie?" I said, I don't even know how to play the game. I'll do whatever you tell me. So I became goalie, and this, much, much quicker, bigger athletes. This guy's past all our forwards, and he's just heading for the goal with the ball, dribbling like a champion. I figured, well, I'll just dive down in his feet and take the ball. And when I dove, and a little less so now, but then I was extremely conscious of peripheral details, excessively so. And I saw what he was doing. Once he realized I was diving, he decided not to kick the ball, but kick me in the head. And he knocked me unconscious. And of course, back then, about 8 or 9 minutes later, you're back up, and we still don't have a goalie, and the game's going on. So I just go back in, and then the kid's coming again. Now, let's just go to the vision, because that's the real story. When the kid came again, he was fine. We did not dance again. He shot appropriately, and he did not try and kick me in the head. So now I'm in the waking dream vision, wondering about forgiving my brother and what I need to forgive, because it's internally with me. And so there he was. He's coming at exact same scene. Boom, I'm unconscious. And in the vision, he's coming at it again, just like before. But this time, he has not backed off. And so I know he's going to kick me in the head again. And so I of course, remember, I'm a lot bigger. And so when I went for him, I didn't go for the ball. I went for his foot. I grabbed it, lifted him, cracked his ankle, snapped it. And I went, holy catfish, what did I just do? And then it was all gone. And it was like, you've been betrayed by men. And it just showed up. I don't trust men. I was totally unaware of that. And it all started with my brother, he and his friends used to get together and play strip poker. And, I'm 3 years younger, so I don't know what strip poker is. And they kind of lure me in, hey! And they mess with me, and they dressed me up in some of mom's clothes, and then they cheated with the cards, but I didn't know all this at the moment. And then they locked me outside the house, and I was just terrified. And, somebody would think, well, you were just terrified because you're locked outside the house. That put you in your mother's shoes and whatnot. No, I felt betrayed. I didn't feel like I'd just been made into, something too weird, just betrayed. And that has stayed with me all my life, apparently. And yeah.
These things you're speaking of, these specific events you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
kicking the head, breaking the ankle, betrayal and strip poker and all of that. You and Sonia have worked on those specific events?
Well, in the first time we talked about them, and the second time we talked about them a bit. And I mean, both of us, we've kind of fallen in love with Sonia. She is beautiful. But this is only my thoughts. I think she's a little risk averse. I think she's so kind and loving that she didn't want to rattle me. Like when I started telling her that story, she said, "Hey, it's okay. There's a lot of men that like to wear women's clothes and whatnot." And that's okay with me, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm 5 years old, 6 years old. And
I'm going to rattle you, okay?
Rattle me away. That's what I like about you. You are, you have a big heart, but you also are smart enough to have guts.
Well, all right.
Enough.
Now, what little I've spoken with to Sonia, apparently the cancer is continuing to evolve, getting worse. Am I hearing that right?
Yes, for the first time in over 4 years, it's moving forward. And it's not huge yet, but it's in sensitive spots, like at the right hip ball joint, the acetabulum. The actual joint, the tumors are now growing. And we talked to the radiologist last week, whom we really like and trust, by the way. And I'm not really always big on doctors. So, and he said, I think your pain may be coming from that spot, even though you're feeling it in other spots. And he said, that's a less dangerous place to radiate than anywhere in your torso because of the peripheral damage. And he said, I can be pretty careful with that. And he said, you have two choices. You can try at this other place and get a proton beam, or you can just do it here. And there's probably about a 2 or 3% benefit to the other place, but there's a 99.9 chance your insurance company will turn you down because of where it's located. So I said, okay, we'll go with you. So he's going to get back to us. He's going over the slides. And so the pain started, I guess, about 2 weeks ago or so. The pain then, right hip area and the iliac crest and the sacrum, which is ground zero. I got tumors all over the place, but ground zero. And then I have a even more severe pain in the back because I couldn't walk. Normally I get up in the morning and walk a mile. I couldn't walk 100 yards the last 2 weeks. Today was the first day, and I have been taking all sorts of things. I have tramadol here, but I have not taken anything like that yet. And I never have so far. So I keep that. So that give you an idea. And so the muscle all around the body, I got all sorts of pain now just because I'm moving differently.
So let me shift just a little bit. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm forgetting some of our previous conversations. So I want to ask you, this is a spiritual question first. Okay.
Yes.
In your belief system, and think about this before you answer. Okay.
I will.
In your belief system, if God was sitting right next to you, could God fix the cancer?
100%. That's a yes.
That's a yes.
Yeah. Okay. I have not for the last 50 years had 1 second of question about that.
All right. Now, so the follow-up question to that is, well, if God could fix it, why hasn't he?
God knows. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but we want to examine that, don't we?
Okay, sure.
Because our unseen therapist is God. Okay.
Amen.
All right.
I'm pretty huge fan of the Course in Miracles, which I know is part of your background. Huge.
Okay.
Fan.
All right. So let's go back to some of the stuff. This is in the Course in Miracles as well, not stated the way I'm stating it, but it's also in our Optimal EFT course.
Yes.
And that's the idea of free will. Now, I want to go over that just so we're on the same page, because I think it's going to be important in this conversation. All right.
Okay.
The essence of A Course in Miracles, by the way, as well as our course, our optimal EFT course, is that each of us is ultimately far, far, far more powerful than we even remotely think, okay? As a result of that, we create our own diseases. We have the own remedy for them within us. God, unseen therapist, is part of us. But because we have free will, very important point for this conversation, because we have free will, you can believe whatever you want to believe, and the unseen therapist is not going to interfere with your right to believe whatever you want. If you want to believe, for example, you're a bad person, okay. If you want to believe you are a separated body, okay. If you want to believe whatever you want to believe about betrayal and how bad you are for breaking somebody's ankle or whatever the case may be. Okay.
Well, that was a vision. I didn't actually break it.
Well,
in real, it didn't happen. He backed off.
Okay. All right.
And trying to think about my brother, this vision just popped into my brain, maybe the unseen therapist. And this time it was, excuse the French, but F you, boom, crack.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
all right.
And, you know, and I felt pretty bad even seeing it, but it was a vision. And then right after that, voice in my head said, you don't trust men, you expect them to betray you.
Okay. So if you have the belief that you don't trust men, you expect them to betray you, that is your right to believe it. An unseen therapist is not going to do a thing with that, because to shift that belief, to change the belief for you without your permission, without your willingness, is like her saying, you know, this belief you have there, you can't have that one. You got to have this one over here. Okay.
I'm happy to get rid of it. I think half of it or more is already gone. Well, I just call it, man, okay. You know, I pay person place.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Many of us are, at least academically speaking, at least on the surface speaking, happy to get rid of whatever these things are. We're happy to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
But I want to, underneath that, we need to explore a little bit. And I want to explore with you some of this too. Let me give you an example. We do a lot of work in our course with resentments. Course in Miracles talks about them as well, you know, to a great extent. And so we want to forgive whatever we did or people did to us or whatever the thing is. We want to forgive all of that. And we want to be lighter about our resentments and so on. Okay. Now, we've had a lot of success doing specific events that are resentment related, bringing in unseen therapists, the resentment gets much better, et cetera. But there's an underlying thing about that. Just to use this as an example. Guilt's another example. There's several examples, but we're going to use resentment for the moment. There's an underlying level of that we tend not to get to. And let me give you let me ask you first. I have a series on my website called Stairway to Miracles. Have you read that series? Do you recall?
I'm not sure because of the title. I have looked at a lot of your stuff on the Stairway to Miracles.
Well, I want to go over this. Even if you've read it, I want to go over it because it's important here. Has to do with forgiveness. All right. And it has to do with what I'm calling true forgiveness. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say some years ago, you steal something from me, you steal some money from me, okay? And so I'm mad at you. I don't like Rod, you stole my money and you went off with it and did wine, women, and song and stuff I wouldn't agree with anyway, and you did a bad thing, and I don't like you and I'll never like you, and go away and don't even bother darkening my door. I resent you. And I'm not about to forgive you. No way. All right. Now, later on, you come up to me and you say, Gary, look, I'm sorry. I know. listen, I stole from you. I was in a bad place. I wasn't thinking well. You're guilty, yes. And I can't repay it all to you, but I can repay you some. So here's some now, and I'm just hoping for forgiveness. Okay. All right. So I say, well, okay, Rod, let bygones be bygones. Let's you and I be friends. This is fine. Yeah, thanks for the partial payment. Let's go see a movie, play cards, be friends. All right. Now, that seems like forgiveness, does it not?
No.
Oh, it doesn't?
Mm-mm.
Well, that's how we practice forgiveness typically in this world, yes?
Yes.
Well, let me go on with my story, and then if you want to add to it, do it, okay?
Whatever you want, say. I'm in.
Well, you tell me, why isn't that forgiveness?
See if I can get the words. It has too many things attached to it. And they're subtle and they're invisible, potentially at least. And there's all sorts of strings attached to it. Even the look on your face when you say, okay, I'll let bygones be bygones. And so basically what's implied in all that is, I don't know, but I'm going to. And if this happens again, man, forget it.
Yeah.
And so to me, forgiveness is done.
Well,
So,
not only done, but literally forgotten, because it's recognized, it's done within a dream that we are dreaming. The whole thing isn't real. Your body's not real. Your cancer's not real, and all of that. Okay. Neither is this conversation. It's all part of a dream. It never even happened. You never even stole anything from me. Okay. Because it's all done within a dream.
mm-hmm.
But within the dream, what we call forgiveness is, well, okay. And this is an ego deal.
Oh, yeah.
I, in my magnificence, am going to forgive you, you lowly person who stole from me. Okay. And I am going to give you solace. I'm going to allow you to be in my presence. That's an ego deal. Okay. And we're going to be friends. Okay. But you do it again, I'm keeping score and heaven help you. Okay. Not true forgiveness. Okay. So what I want to get to something with all of that. Okay. And that is we think we have cleared the table on some things, when in reality, there's something big left over that we're not aware of. With me?
Totally.
Okay. So, let me hold on a second here. I want to make some assumptions here just to explore. Okay.
Okay.
And the reason I say they're assumptions is because what we're going to explore, perhaps, in your own recollection and your own memory or your own belief about things, isn't really on point. Because I'm going to assume you are repressing it, you're not looking at it, it's under the surface, and we want to go dig it out.
Good.
With me? Okay. All right. So I want to ask you a question. If you had life to live over again, what person or event would you just as soon skip?
Well, my brother.
All right. Now, your brother was abusive to you. He didn't like you. You were the young child. You were stealing his thunder. He was jealous. I got that right?
Probably. I mean, I wasn't inside his head, but probably.
All right.
And his abuse was limited, but it came in such a way that it destroyed a lot of my trust, just totally destroyed it. And then didn't ever punch me or anything. The first real fight we had, I just got invited to Alabama, so it was a one-way fight. But there's never was a physical event after that, and that was actually the most aggressive physical event in our lives. And I backed off for a few minutes, hit me a few times. I said, "Please stop," and then I just put him on the ground.
All right.
but it didn't heal the relationship. It just changed the ground play.
Yeah.
And and he would go to school, 3 grades ahead of me, and he would tell the kids and the teachers, my weirdo brother, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that was a tremendous exaggeration. I was different. That was pretty obvious. But the super weirdo, everything just wasn't true. I did graduate president of the senior class at Menlo. I mean, I wasn't exactly obnoxious. But anyway, he had his own reasons. And he definitely, my interpretation of him definitely influenced my life a lot.
Okay. What we want to get to, at least what I'm thinking so far,
okay,
is not what he did to you. It's your response to that. Now, you've already told me you don't trust men and so on. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any trouble trusting you right now at all.
Well, okay, but you said before, I don't trust men. That's what you said. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the words you used. Okay. So you generalized that. And okay.
Well, I know it would be there 10 years ago with you too. A lot has happened in the last few years.
All right.
It can't radically change my life. And it is very easy for me to love people, male or female now.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so there's something about your response to your brother, okay? Whether you feel anger, guilt, whatever it may be, lack of trust, and so on.
At that point towards my parents, who were really very good people, but when they would leave, back then you left kids at home. Nobody called the police when the 6-year-old was at home. And so when they would get home, they'd say, how things go. Sometimes they'd say, well, my brother locked me in the closet or something, whatever. And they'd say, well, we weren't there. It's your word against his word. And so we can't make a decision. And my brother has very high IQ. So he played it perfectly. And so I had the anger split towards my parents, which is very sad, the anger towards him.
All right. There's something else that is deeper still about
For sure.
that. Okay. And that's this. Yes, there's your response, and you have some labeled emotions, anger, guilt, like we talk about. But there's another one still that goes something like this. What does all of that mean to you about you? That's deeper.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to? Does it mean I don't count? I'm not lovable. I don't fit. There's something wrong with me. I'm a bad person. What does it mean to you about you?
Now, but throughout most of my life, everything you just said. Everything.
I didn't hear. You said you say up until now?
Right now, I do not feel all that stuff. But over the last 60 plus years, every single thing you said, I felt.
All right. I'm going to guess that while you have done a lot of very valuable work on those issues, there's still a level of it undone. Okay. At a level maybe you're not able to access. Okay. Maybe you're completely unaware of it. Okay.
I'm not sure on that.
Well, all right.
But good possibility, obviously.
Okay. Well, we're gonna make that assumption, and we're gonna assume it's true. All right. Now, we may be going down a dead end, but if we don't go down it, it goes unexplored.
Mm-hmm.
Are you with me?
Totally.
All right.
And you don't need it, but you have my permission to explore anything that comes into your mind, even if you have a vision while you're talking to me that I'm a reincarnation of Heinrich Himmler. If you feel it, you think it, I'm willing to look at it.
I don't need your permission, my good man.
I know that. I'm just being.
I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you any way I can. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Now, from what little I've known of you, we've had conversations before, you and I and Lisa sometimes and so on. Okay. I come away with a perception. It's not a judgment. It's not a criticism. It's an observation. Okay. And that is, here's Rod, who is constantly telling me about how much he has improved things and so on.
I've improved things, but only to a certain point. Not improved enough to make me satisfied. That's for sure.
And what I keep hearing is that's a facade. It is fooling you as well as the world around you.
Agreed.
Okay. And that's the thing underneath, and we all have facades. We're not criticizing you. Okay. Everybody's got a facade. Okay. It's part of how you get through this illusion.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Okay. So let me, for the moment, go to I'm a bad person for a second. What does bad person mean?
Then I might wake up one morning and so filled with hate and rage that I'll just turn against the world and maybe become a psychopathic bad guy.
Okay. A sort of Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay. So you recognize that somewhere within you is a Hitler possibility.
I'm not sure if this is appropriate, but I have lived long enough to be aware that every single possibility I've ever encountered is potentially within me. Yeah, and I'm not saying that theologically. That's my experience.
And that includes Hitler.
Okay? Absolutely.
Okay. Hitler, I'm going to be theoretical for the moment.
Sure.
Hitler is the world's primary example of the world's biggest villain. Okay. I mean, that's Hitler. Okay. On the other end of it is Mother Teresa. Okay. The world's most acknowledged angel, if you will. Okay.
I like.
Okay. Within each of us running around in this separated world and these seemingly separated walls of flesh lies all those possibilities. Hitler enacted that extreme part of it. Mother Teresa enacted her other extreme part of it. The rest of us are in between, enacting stuff, submerging stuff, and so on. Okay. So, and I've never done this before, Rod. So you and I are kind of an experimental territory in a way. Oh, you like that? You like that?
I like being a guinea pig. I tried the.
We'll see. Okay. So, hold on a minute here. I've got to. I'm trying to think of how to go about this. What I'm aiming at, I'm trying to find a metaphor or a way to get into this thing to not academically look at the Hitler possibility, the bad person within you, which I'm going to assume is a big contributor to cancer being a bad thing. Okay.
Reasonable assumption.
Okay. So you got it in there someplace, and we want to go in and look at it, hopefully resolve it, or at least get started with a resolution of it and go that direction. And I'm drawing a little bit of a blank right now about how to do that. What comes to me is well, we're going to need to do an unseen therapist session on this for sure, but I think we need to do some discussion or reframing about it first. Okay. So, as best you can, Rod, and throwing the facade away, I'm going to be talking to the Hitler in you. Okay. And the thing for you to do, I think, is, well, we're gonna take your brother as an example, but maybe your parents are in this, and maybe some other siblings, or
no, I didn't have any other siblings.
Or schoolmates or other people. Somebody else could also be a candidate besides your brother. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But let's pick your brother for the moment. Okay. He didn't like you. He rejected you. You're a weirdo. Da 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 da. And underneath,
stealing attention.
Stealing attention. Yeah. Well, he's stealing attention, but more on point is how you are responding to that. I'm angry about that. I'm gonna get the son of a bitch.
Definitely.
Okay. I'm gonna grab him by the balls and rip him off. I'm gonna tear his ears off. I'm gonna Hitlerize him in some fashion. I'm gonna hire 6 dentists and pull out all his teeth. And how am I doing?
Well, keep going. I like it.
That's me talking. I want you to talk.
I did intellectually consider that I might be better off with him dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking that about my parents, which really weirded me out. Didn't weird me out too much when I thought about him. And I mean, I was pretty angry. You know, we went off to summer camp together, one of those half summer camps. And he, when he got there, he was older. So I'm like 6, he's like 9. And he just talked to everybody about me, not being nothing but trouble, a bad guy, blah, blah, blah. And he was just walking around telling the counselors and everything. And then he walked up, at least they didn't put us in the same bunkhouse. And then he walked up to my bunkhouse, the door opened it up, and he told me what he'd been doing. And I just went like this with a Bowie knife, and I right in the door frame next to him.
You mean that was a real knife throw or imaginary?
Real.
Oh, real. Okay. So behind that is every swear word in the book. I'm sorry I missed your head.
I think I was kind of relieved I didn't hit his head, but I only half relieved.
Okay. He deserved it.
Felt like it at the time.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. This felt like it at the time. That's a facade thing. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let's do it. Keep going.
We want to get right down to it, because we want to get down to that real rage, anger, because let's go to Hitler for a second. Now, I'm not a great student of World War II and Hitler and all that, but I do know enough about him, or at least what's written and so on, that this was a man short in stature, by the way, not very tall. Okay. A sort of a failed artist, but a man who was rejected, a man who was put down, didn't like his height for one thing. Okay. You're little. Okay. A man who was so angry inside about how he was pushed down by, metaphorically, his brother. Okay. You're pushed down by your brother. I don't even know if he had a brother. Okay. But metaphorically pushed down, and his anger inside, which all of us have, we've already talked about that, was so intense that he had to lash out. He had to blame the Jewish people. We had to have the Aryan race. We had to have all the stuff that he did, but it was anger that was pushing all of this, because he had to do something with that anger. And what most people do is they project it out. They have it inside here, but they project it out. Okay. How am I doing?
Truth.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not excusing your Hitler thing. What we're doing is understanding it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it. And so does Lisa. Now, she's listening to all this, right?
Of course.
Lisa, are you Hitler or not?
I've got Hitler in me.
Okay. Everybody does, if they will admit it.
Oh.
They don't want to admit it.
I'm frighteningly aware of it.
Okay. All right. And it may be causing your cancer. Okay. And it may be keeping your cancer from healing. That's the point. Okay. Now, again, we're not sitting here criticizing it. We're recognizing it. That's what we're doing. That's the important thing. Okay. But we also want to get down to it. Okay. So we don't just dance around it. All right. Now, so you threw this knife. Ding, good throw, by the way, because the knife stuck on the door and everything else. You get marks for that. You get marks for that. Okay. But let's get down to the real why of that. The real why of that is, again, what does all of his abuses, if you will, mean to you, about you? It means there's something wrong with you and all the stuff you think you've done better at. And I'm saying, nah, there's more underneath you're covering over or haven't gotten to yet. So where else have you had anger like that you really don't want to admit? How about for Lisa? Be honest with Lisa. She ever really tweak you someplace and you wanted to do some nasties?
I'm not sure I understand.
It is likely when you're married, live together, etc., that you will conflict with your partner.
Oh,
it
yeah.
Happens, it happens.
But I don't throw knives at her ever.
Well, I'm talking about mentally. She does said something or other that annoys you, and privately you go, oh, no, you know.
Yes.
Okay.
And if I said no, she would start talking.
Well, okay.
Every member of my family has seen it in me.
Well, you remember what?
Oh, every member of my family, my closest friends have all seen that in me.
Okay. Well, they've seen it in you. They also have it in themselves. They maybe masqueraded it better than you have.
I hope so.
All right. Well, all right.
It was scary to me that I was so dangerous. And it wasn't in my head. I mean, I have hundreds of stories of attacks on the street, etc. And I went looking for trouble eventually. I drove around in high school with a police scanner.
Because you would actually play this out. You would do other things. The knife throw was not an isolated incident.
No. Well, I mean, it pretty much was. In that personalized context, it happened twice. And then, so that was like 1956. And so like 1967, somewhere around there, he came home from college. We won't say what college. Stanford. He wanted my car to go on a date. He didn't ask me, he just took the keys. And so I saw him and I said, hey. And he said, hey. I said, you heading out? Yeah, I'm heading out. I mean, we talked fairly civilly most of the time. I said, yeah. I said, well, you don't have your car. He said, no, I'm taking yours. And you need to ask me. And he said, no, I don't. And I said, well, I say you do. And so I say, give me the keys. And if you don't ask me, you can't go. He said, you in what army? I said, you can't be this stupid, my brother. We're not even in the same league anymore. And so he punched me. The only time he ever full punched me. And he punched me again. I said, want to do it again? I mean, I had big, I don't even feel it. Yeah. And then I was just, boom, once, picked him up, and we lived in this French chateau with the marble, the big entrance with the chandelier and that kind of stuff, circular staircases. I just picked him up over there, hung him over. I don't even know if I used both hands. And I said, give me a reason not to drop you. In which case my mother, who she's got more balls than all of us put together. And she's fearless. But in Hillsborough, every single house had a red button back then. She just touched the button, 90 seconds for the average annual Hillsborough response time. And in about 60 seconds, there were two cops at the door. I'd already pulled my brother back up, but I'd let him hit me a few times. And he grabbed me by my shirt and tore it. I waited and then just closed it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's when I realized, oh my God, if mother got spooked that I was going to drop him, Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad, actually, but I didn't give him my car.
Well, all right. Good.
That's part of the facade, I'm sure, too. But
yeah, I was going to say that.
I got it. I'm learning it quickly.
The facade covers that over. Underneath all that is some unresolved stuff. Now,
you son of a bitch, you ruined my life.
You say that to me or who?
No, not to you, to him.
Okay. All right. Now, be as graphic as you can here. This is going to be important. Okay. As graphic as you can. Give me a picture of what this anger looks like. Is there fire? Is there war?
War.
Okay. Well, be more specific. What's in the war? Who's shooting who and with what kind of ammunition and how many bodies are flying and how bad it screams? And I mean, whatever you want to tell me about that.
30 or 40 killed.
Paint it. Go ahead.
Dead.
Wait. You cut out a little bit. Start over.
Okay. So a visual picture. We're on patrol, and half my men get killed or wounded, and I get very, very angry.
Well, is this actual or something you're making up?
Oh, I'm making it up, but I've been in similar situations. All
right, go ahead.
I have several times been in battles where the odds were more than 6-1 against me. I just get mad and I just kill them all. And that's pretty much.
Okay, but that's not the picture I'm looking at. That's something you may have done, etc. What is the picture? I was trying to. My picture is one of fire. Okay, but you may have a different picture. I mean, make it an angry, ugly picture. What does it look like?
I'm not sure if this is working, but I'm going to try something, if I may.
All right.
And can you see a big version of me on your screen?
Reasonably.
Okay. I'm going to demonstrate with my face what it feels like. May I?
Uh-huh. All right. And what's going on inside of it, behind those eyes?
I'm coming. You don't have a chance.
I'm coming. You don't have a chance. All right. Okay.
I am going to hurt you.
All right. Now, I'm going to shift for a moment.
Yes.
We want to do a little reframing here. This is all leading up to an unseen therapist session. We're trying to put as much on the table as we possibly can, because she's only going to deal with stuff that we're putting on the table that we're willing to let go of, stuff that we've forgotten, repressed, don't want to look at. That's under the table, not touched. Okay. So let's look at your brother. You have some within the dream, some very obvious reasons for having resentments and angers and so on for all of his various behaviors, calling you weirdo and so on. Okay. Now, we're not going to excuse his behaviors. I'm not going to excuse them. No. Okay. We are going to make a step towards understanding them, not just academically, but understanding them in a release kind of way. Okay. So I'm not your brother. I've never met him. I don't know him. I wouldn't know him if he walked up to me on the street and kicked me in the shins. I wouldn't know who he was. Okay. But I think I can speculate just with my experience that
he's very loving and kind to other people. It's extraordinary.
His facade.
Yes.
Okay. Right. All right. Okay. So, fine.
Okay.
But you come along. Before you come along, he's the only child. And I speak from knowledge because I'm the only child, period. Okay. Nobody came along to steal my thunder and take my Christmas presents and everything else. Okay. I got it all. So yay. So I understand where your brother is coming from. Okay. And here comes that stupid little Roderick, and he's getting attention and I'm not getting it. And I, like every other person, your brother, like every other person on the planet, want and seek love. You're doing it. He's doing it. I'm doing it. Lisa's doing it. Everybody's doing it. Okay. We're always we look for love outside of ourselves, by the way. That's a big mistake. Okay. Because everybody else is doing the same thing. Okay. But we're looking for love, and you are stealing it in his perception.
I believe that is true.
Okay. So while we're not, again, going to excuse his behavior, wouldn't it be sort of natural, within the dream anyway, if someone's stealing your love, that you're going to react against it?
Yes.
Put that little so-and-so down? He's a weirdo. Dress him up in clothes for playing cards. And on and on and on it goes. Wouldn't that be something rather than look inside and resolve here, people don't do that. It's like Hitler, okay? They project it out there. They find someone to blame for their own unrest. We have an unrest by the mere fact that we think we're separated from the oneness. We have our own unrest. So rather than look in here and resolve it, we tend to project it out. The Course in Miracles is full of that stuff, okay? We project it out, we project it out, we project it out. You are a obvious target for him to project out his unrest. How am I doing? All right. Doesn't make you feel any better, okay?
Actually,
but, go ahead.
It does make me feel better hearing you say that.
Well,
I thought I figured it out. We had a conversation once, many decades ago. We were walking on the beach, and he said, I really resented you when you came along. And I resented you when we were children tremendously. And I thought, wow, we're about to have a healing miracle right now on the beach.
Uh-huh.
But there was no follow-up.
Okay. Well, he may still resent you at some level, who knows? Okay. But that's not the issue right now. The issue is always your response to it.
Oh, yeah. He might not resent me at all anymore.
Okay. But it's your response. You've got this Hitler-like response underneath all of that. Look out, I'm coming. Okay. And I'm going to have to guess here because I don't know your whole history. But because of all this stuff with your brother and all that now creates an anger within inside of you. I'm not loved and I don't like it. My brother is helping me do this. So look out, world, I'm coming. Because I don't know how to resolve it in here. Okay. We march through life and it manifests itself. In your case, cancer. In other cases, other kind of ailments, and so on it goes. But the important part of what we just said about your brother is we're trying to understand where he's coming from. It's a step towards true forgiveness. We first need to understand it, not excuse the behavior. Understand it. Helps to soften it. Okay. Now, there may be other characters in your life I don't know about and so on that have contributed to all this as well, but we're going to at least focus where we are on this.
No one else to that extent.
As far as you know.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And maybe that's so. I don't know, but we're going here. Remind me, when's the last time you talked to your brother?
4 years?
4 years.
5 years, probably okay. 5.
So there's still some strain there.
Yeah, I actually, after working with Sonia a couple of months ago, I gave him a call. He didn't answer the phone. And I just left a message, not real long. And it was funny because Lisa was in the room when I did it. And so she played it back, what she heard me leave in the message. And I wasn't even completely aware I did it. Said, hey, man, we haven't talked in a long time. Maybe it'd be good to talk. And maybe we can work some things out. if I can stay on the phone long enough. And I can't believe I slipped that in. If I can tolerate you long enough.
Yeah. You had to get the dig in.
Holy Moses. I didn't even catch it till she pointed it out. Like, oops. So apparently that was not a very inviting, hey, give me a call. And he did not call. For all I know, he's dead, by the way. He except for my cancer, I've never had health problems. He's had a number of them.
Okay. Well, okay. We're still in the reframe stage of all this before we bring in unseen therapist. So I want to ask you another question here. Would I be correct in assuming that your brother's one of, if not the main need your brother has would be love?
I think so. He has not done well with his wives, several of them.
Yeah.
I think he has not felt loved. Okay. I mean, Mom told me that a lot. She said, be nice to your brother. He doesn't feel loved.
Okay. And if somebody doesn't feel loved, that's a recipe for conflict inside, which manifests itself in however we can project it out. With me?
Yeah.
All right.
Totally.
All right. All right.
It's funny. I have a couple of butterflies in my stomach right now that I didn't have. On my conscious level, I am 100% positive that you can ask me anything you want. But there's a couple of butterflies down there. That's fascinating right now. Like,
meaning what?
A little nervousness that you're going to ask me something that knocks me off my course, and I'm ready for it. But nonetheless, a little nervousness.
Do you feel ready?
I do.
No, you haven't heard my question yet. Okay.
Oh.
Don't say I do yet. Okay, because I'm gonna. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And pause for a moment before you answer this question, because it's easy to answer this academically in a certain way. Okay.
You got it.
Do you feel ready to genuinely let go of every grievance you ever had about your brother?
Yes, but I have no idea whether I can do that. But yes, it is nothing but a sea anchor. There's no benefit to it whatsoever, and he hadn't done any unpleasant stuff to me in decades.
Okay. All right.
I don't brought tears to my eyes.
Well, I got it. And I'm glad I asked you the question, because that's exactly what we're going to try to do with the unseen therapist. The point is, we know you don't know how to do it. We know that. Okay.
Yes, you do.
That's why unseen therapist is going to help you. She sees things. As long as you're open, she sees things and can use things and can borrow things for you and lend them to you and etc. that you're not in touch with, because you're too like me and Lisa and everybody else. We're too involved in our seemingly separated bodies and all those concerns and everything else, including I'm going to get you. I'm coming for you. Okay. And all of that reminds me, I'm coming for you. I'll tell you what's kind of, I have a reframe in my own mind. It's not formed well, but let me tell you where I am so far. Instead of I'm coming for you, look out. Okay. I'm coming for you. I hope you're ready for all this love. There's a difference.
There's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. If we can get there, and today hopefully it's going to be a start in that direction. If we can get there, that's therapeutic, I think. All right. Anyway, let's give a shot at an unseen therapist session. And Lisa, can I see your pretty face for a minute? There you are. Yeah,
Huh?
you are better. You are better looking than Rod. I got to tell you that. Okay. I'm going to be going through this with Rod. Okay, but I would like to have you, if you would, join in with us. Close your eyes, etc., but do it surrogately. Imagine yourself being Rod.
Okay.
As best you can. Just as best you just as though when I'm talking to Rod, I'm talking to you. And when I'm talking to you, I mean, it's as though you were Rod. You bring in unseen therapists. You bring in and do whatever it is that we metaphorically put together in this session, okay? Love is best when shared. So you're going to help us share it. That's the point.
Okay.
Any question about it?
No.
All right.
I have a comment.
Please.
I'm starting to sweat.
Is that good? Is that good or bad?
Well, that means maybe something very good is coming.
It also means there's something you really don't want to let go of. Okay. And that's important to recognize.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa. Who am I going to be if I really am love and I have to live up to my facade, you know? Think about it.
Well, I mean, I'm in because I remember back in the mid-50s, I mean, all I wanted to do was to love and be loved. That's all I wanted. And then it didn't work and I went another path.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden, I have no interest in, on a conscious level, I have no interest in anything but love. I mean, that's all I do. You know, there's a line, I think, in Ephesians about sing spiritual songs and that they're spontaneous. And I just walk along. You know, cancer really, I think I told you, the moment I got diagnosed, which was a shock because 4,000 PSA, total metastases, and 100 days if you're lucky to live. And as I walked out of the hospital, an audible voice spoke and said, "Your time has come. The season of love is upon you now." And then I walked down the stairs because they hadn't told me not to do that yet. And my heart opened up, and every single person from the 1950s forward that ever felt love towards me manifested in front of me going down the stairs. There was 200 or 300 people. And I was just a joy-filled mess by the bottom of those stairs in the parking lot. Like, oh my God, 65 years and all these people love me and I never knew it? I didn't know that my wife loved me like that. And then I'm checking out the parking lot and there's this very sweet mid-40s Pakistani immigrant lady. Now, I'm not sure what the culture is, the Muslim rules, but I couldn't handle myself. I got out of the car when she asked for my ticket and I just hugged her and I said, "I'm in love with you." And somewhere in the back of my mind, it's like, you shouldn't do that. And instead of being upset, she looked at me and said, "You seem like a fine man. I love you too, sir." What? And that's the day my life really began to change.
Well, yes. And those are great feelings. I would point out from what you told me there, that is a reflection of needing love from the outside.
Yes.
Okay. And so here it comes from, and we so look for it, we so want it, and we think it's out there someplace. When it does show up and we buy into it and we accept it, oh, but what I'm suggesting here is the real aha in that, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? The real aha in that is that you accepted it. That's an inside job.
Yes, absolutely. I still believe. I can feel, not even believe, I can feel. Okay. There's about 20 people in Dallas that love me, and I can feel it. I mean, intense love. And I mean, I'd gone my whole life without feeling that. Okay. And not understanding the way we're talking now at all.
The love of the unseen therapist, to the extent that we can get it from the inside. It's an inside job. She's Absolutely. Here. She's in here. To the extent we can get We are love rather than looking for love. There's a big difference. It's a great big, it's an academic difference to almost everybody. We want to get to the ownership of it more than you're getting. Okay.
Love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. Top two, I got them. Bottom one has proved very difficult for me.
Well, yeah, but love yourself is an inside job. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. We're going to try to get the inside job if we can. So anyway, time for unseen therapists. So
yes, sir.
It's going to be easy peasy for you because I'm going to narrate the whole thing, Rod, with the instruction that at any time something doesn't fit or you have a question or whatever, feel free to speak up. Okay. All right. So anyway, just close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take a nice, deep, relaxing breath. And Lisa, please do the same. And you close the eyes. Okay. And now, just as a way of inviting unseen therapists, we're going to recall a simple, loving moment. And whenever you're there, just nod your head. All right, good. And all we're doing with that, just to remind you, is just we're doing our best to align ourselves with the pure love of the unseen therapist. We're inviting her. Now, she's always guiding us. We're just not listening. We have our own way to go about it. Our ego has its own way, and we have our own views. But she now knows we're listening. That's the purpose. We're going to hand some stuff to you. And we're listening. We're going to allow you to do your thing, unseen therapist. So, okay. So quite often what we do is we aim at specific events, but we're not going to, this particular one is going to be more, it's going to be broader than that. Its purpose is going to do some shift of consciousness. It's going to be an attempt at knocking the center, kicking the center out of the anger and all the other inside jobs that keep us from the real love that we need to develop within. That's what it is. And so, Rod, I'm just going to start rambling here because I don't even know where I'm going. I'm going to be guided myself. So wherever we go, we go. But the first thing that comes up to me is we want to go back in time to when you're a child, and there were numerous examples of your brother calling you weirdo, putting you down in various ways, causing you, who were just too young to even debate things at that very young ages, a sense of there's something wrong with me, I don't count, I'm not lovable, something's wrong with me, all that stuff.
Just had a flash. When I was 40 years old, I was sitting by myself contemplating whether or not I was going to end my life. And I asked myself why I was even thinking about it. And I answered, there's no love in the world.
All right.
I did not end my life, obviously, but that just flashed.
All right. Well, good. So we'll pick up on that. Thank you. We'll pick up on that. So even at that young age, even though you may not have used those words, it would be easy to think, there is no love in the world. And of course, very young, very, very young, we don't really understand at that point that everybody's trying to get love from outside themselves and from everybody else and so on, rather than to develop it within. And so we want to look at what appears, erroneously actually, but appears to be the source of all this anger and unrest within. And that's your brother. So there you are at a very young age, and allow your brother to appear before you. He's a few years older, but at whatever age you want him to appear, that's the right age. Okay. You could even have him appear as an adult if you wanted to. Just he's going to appear in front of you. And you're going to see him. An unseen therapist comes to sit beside you. Are you okay?
Yeah, there's stuff happening in my body. It's interesting.
Okay. Unseen therapist is sitting beside you, counseling with you. She says, now look at your brother. And I know you've discussed this with Gary some, but your brother, like you, like everyone, like your parents, like everyone you know, really needs love. And your brother thought he was getting it from outside sources, and you seem, at least in his perception, to come along and steal it from him. You're getting attention where he got it before. And he's angry about it, but he's also erroneous about it. He's making a big error because he's looking outside himself for love. That's where he's been looking. And now the outside sources are shifting their love someplace else, seemingly. He's not generating love from within. And the Hitler part of him starts to manifest in its somewhat milder way than Hitler. But you want to look at him as someone who needs love. And the way to do that, says Unseen Therapist, is to imagine him standing in front of you with a metaphorical love sponge within himself. Okay. It's like a water sponge that can fill up with water and then overflow and so on. But this one fills up with love. And his is dry. It's dry. And at this moment, his Unseen Therapist sits beside you and says, see, he's got his dry love sponge. You, Rod, you have a dry love sponge yourself. From within. You keep looking for love from without. We're not criticizing that. It's what you do here in this illusory world. But let me help you first fill up your love sponge, and then we'll work with your brother. So Unseen Therapist says, just relax a moment now, Rod. And let's fill up your love sponge. And if you want, imagine it like, I, the Unseen Therapist, have this unlimited love sponge, just like there's unlimited gasoline in a gasoline tank to fill up your car. You put a nozzle inside you someplace and, the love sponge starts to fill up. It gets more and more. And it's different. It isn't the kind of thing that I've got to get it out there someplace. It's coming from within. And this is the Unseen Therapist who doesn't give a twit about what we do in this illusionary world. She knows that we are ultimately love and we have dried up our love sponge, so we're going to fill it up. So we fill it up. It's gentle. It goes on at its own pace. And just take a few moments now, or however long it takes, Rob, within yourself, to let Unseen Therapist fill up your love sponge from within. You need not do it perfectly. You're not getting a grade of an A or a C or anything for this. Just let her fill it up. And whatever you think you've done the best you can, whatever that is, just say something to me and we'll proceed. Take your time.
Feeling fear that I can't find the sponge.
A fear that you can't you can't fill the sponge or find the sponge?
Find it.
Oh, you can't find it. Oh, okay. All right. I didn't expect that, but we'll use it. Okay. So, all right. So there you are. Can't find the sponge. Unseen therapist says, but Rod, I have the sponge right here. You have it yourself, but you just don't recognize it. So let me ask you this as unseen therapist. Does Rod have a sponge in him? Dry as it may be, does he have a sponge in him? That's a question for you. It's a yes or no.
For me?
Yeah. Does Rod have a sponge in him? In your imagination, does Rod have a... Okay. All right. Good enough. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Okay. So if Rod has a sponge in him, maybe we can borrow it from him. Would that work?
Borrow it from me?
No. You can't find your own sponge.
Yes.
Can you borrow it from Rod?
From Rod?
I'm sorry, from your brother.
Holy catfish. Let's find out.
Well, I got another thought. Go ahead, close the eyes. What's your brother's name?
Wade.
Wade, okay. So Wade has a love sponge.
I believe he does.
What's that?
I believe he does.
Okay, all right. But you can recognize in front of you that he's got this love sponge, albeit maybe dry.
Okay.
All right. You can't find your own, but you can see that he has one. I'm correct in that?
Yes.
Okay. So unseen therapist says, I'll tell you what. You stand by here for a minute, Rod, and watch while I, the unseen therapist, fill up Rod's love sponge. Mm-hmm. Now, you're looking at Rod, and as his love sponge fills up...
So, I get confused. Looking at Rod or looking at Wade?
I'm sorry, Wade. You're looking at Wade. Sorry,
yeah.
I get the words mixed up.
I'm good.
So unseen therapist is now, while you're observing, filling up Wade's love sponge. And as she does, notice in your own mind's eye, if you can, how his posture softens, how his face and his expressions soften, how his eyes soften. Because here he is, maybe for the first time in his life, really having an interface with love. Understand it's in your imagination and all of that. Yes. Okay. And let me ask you, are you able to see his eyes and face, et cetera, soften?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. And so here you are without your love sponge, of course. But you're seeing with the love sponge, your brother, Wade, given love, shifts entirely. No longer does he need to get it from you or his parents or from outside sources. He's generating it from within. Very different. Very different. Now, says unseen therapist, we're going to do something with your Rod love sponge. And we're going to let Wade. See, one thing nice about a sponge is it gets filled up and then it overflows, but it's always full. And so when it overflows, you can share the overflow all you want, okay? So his is overflowing, and he is sharing it now with you. He's not calling you a weirdo. He's recognizing who you really are at a different level. You're no longer his competitor. How you doing?
I'm sweating, man. I like it.
All right. He's no longer your competitor. You're no longer his competitor. He's letting go of it. He is softer. He is easier to get along with. And even if he's just easier to get along with. Now, You may not feel like you have a love sponge within, but whatever there is within, it can hold love. And here comes Wade's love, sharing it with you. And as you fill up, I'm gonna ask you, are you able to let him share it with you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a love sponge now?
Oh.
Do you have a love sponge now?
I don't know, but I can. It's weird. I can feel him sharing it with me, but I'm still not feeling it inside me.
Well, you don't have to. We're imagining all this. If you feel it, great. If you feel it, great. If you feel it,
I feel he's actually sharing love water with me.
Okay. All right. So the important thing about this is as you fill up with love, your anger, the look out, I'm coming, starts to soften. It has less reason to be. Do you need to have your eyes open?
No.
Okay. As you fill up, the look out, I'm coming, starts to shift. Look out, I'm full of love. Are you ready? Look out, I'm full of love. Are you ready? An unseen therapist says, now let's do something else, Rod. Let's take this anger that you have, the Hitler part that you've admitted to and that every separated person seems to have. Let's take the Hitler part of you. And it's still there within you someplace. And she's saying, Rod, give me a description of it. Is it a black ball? Is it a ugly tree? What does it seem like to you metaphorically?
Exactly like that guy in the Rambo movie.
Well, I forgot which one that is.
Oh, Sylvester Stallone.
Well, I know that, but it seems like Sylvester Stallone. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like in the first Rambo movie where that Southern cop picks him up, puts him in jail, he just explodes and boom.
All right. So you got Rambo in there.
Yeah.
You got Rambo in there. One of the things about Rambo, close your eyes.
Anger, skill,
well, yes,
violence, and he was wounded. He was hurt by these people.
Yes.
And he just wanted to leave, and they pursued him.
Yes. And as that movie ends, he ends up, machine gunning everything in sight and blowing things up because of all of his anger. Yes.
Yeah.
In later Rambo movies, however, while he's still the angry warrior, there's a softer side to him. He's protecting people. He's saving people. He's doing a lot of things that are very gentle in that sense. There is within him both parts. There is the warrior Rambo, and there's the gentle Rambo. Do you recognize that?
I didn't see the other movies, but I understand exactly what you're talking about. I feel it all the time in me.
Okay. All right. But anyway, so let's get back to Rambo. So there's Rambo, who has been conditioned to be the warrior, conditioned for violence, conditioned to see the enemy and do it. I'm coming. It's a sort of a Rambo thing. I'm coming for you. All right.
Yeah.
That's even a quote. He says, to the guy who was orchestrating all this, I'm coming for you. That's a quote. Okay. Unseen therapist says, that's within you. There it is. There it is. But also within you is all the love. So let's take the Rambo and let's put him outside of you and let him float around out there. That's the Rambo within you, not the Rambo that's in a movie, because the movie doesn't change. Okay. That's the Rambo inside of you. And let me ask you, which is more powerful? The love inside you or the Rambo inside of you?
I prefer the love, and I'm very weak now, so I'd be kind of a joke as a Rambo. So I'm kind of adding a little bit of temporal dimension to this question. I wanted it to be the love, but I just couldn't trust it. And so Rambo won out with me repressing the black hat, but not the white hat aspect. Just trying to help people, but volunteering to behave, Well, I just had an instance that once I was in a little bookstore and there was a 75-year-old lady, and two guys came in. They didn't see me, and they were robbing her. And I just sat there, figured out what the timing was to take them both out. And then I did one of the strangest things I've ever done in my life. They have the chairs in the bookstores. And so there was a chair right around the corner. If they turned around, they could see me. So I stood on the chair, and instead of taking them out and calling the police, I began to sing a love song to them. And they turned around with strange expressions, and they obviously did not shoot me. And they just stared. Then they looked at each other, and then they stared. Then they looked at the old lady, and then they just looked at each other, and they walked out. No violence at all. It was a love song.
Isn't that an example of love being more powerful than Rambo?
Yes. I mean, I could have killed him, but I didn't want to.
Yeah. All right. Nice story. Great story. Great story. Yeah. But it's an example of love being more powerful.
Yes, that's
Rambo. Right. Okay. And that's where we're getting to. Now, I can hear the conflict going on. There is the Rambo in there. Now there's the love in there. And the two, we're trying to get them so they can't coexist. We want the love to take everything over, because the Rambo does nothing for you, as you know. Okay. Nonetheless, it's in there. It seems to serve a purpose. It seems to give you protection, because if you can conquer the world out there, it can't get you. Okay. How'd I do with that one?
True.
All right. But conquering the world is an illusion to begin with, okay? And the only way you're going to, as long as you try to conquer the world, it's going to conquer you, because it's going to create cancer and all kinds of stuff within you. But if you see it with love, genuinely replace Rambo with love. What cause would there be for cancer?
I don't know.
Well, I can't think of one either. And neither can unseen therapists, by the way. So at any rate, unseen therapist says, okay, let's take a look at the Rambo part of you. And let's put the Rambo right next to a cloud of love. Both of those are inside you. We're going to move them outside now. You have this cloud of love on one side and Rambo on the other with his warrior-like protect the world, get rid of the bad guys kind of thing. And the love cloud said, there are no bad guys. There are only people trying to look out for themselves in their own way. Not all of us excusable behavior, okay? But nonetheless, that's what they're doing. Yeah. And so spend a little time now looking at the cloud and letting the cloud move towards Rambo, with his knife, and the bow and arrow and all the stuff that Rambo has. Start to move towards Rambo and make the cloud envelop Rambo. And there he is, Sylvester Stallone, with all that warrior stuff and those big muscles and all of that. He softens.
Just like my brother did.
Yeah, he softens. Okay. He's understanding the power of love. Nobody's ever told him this before. He's been a trained assassin. He's been a trained warrior. He's been a trained wrecking machine. And he's good at it, just like you're good at it, okay? He's really good at it. But love, if he will allow it, will soften him. And he can retire from all his warrior-like activities.
Yes.
And be filled with love. Spend some time, if you can, being Rambo and letting this cloud come over you with unseen therapist's help, shifting. In fact, let's do it. We're going to do it this way. Imagine yourself as Rambo, okay? And we're going to imagine Rambo vibrating with all of his anger and pent up stuff, okay? Like that, okay? It just keeps vibrating. And that's you, okay? And you're vibrating with all of this stuff. And here comes the loving cloud, the unseen therapist, enveloping you in this loving cloud. And within this loving cloud, all this vibration cannot survive. The da 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 goes da 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 da. Let's do that again. There you are, Rambo. I'm sorry, go ahead.
When you were doing that, waves of fear went through me. And I found myself, I often walk down the middle of the street. I mean, I'm aware right now of the front of the street, the backyard. I don't know how I have it, but I have this penetrating perception that doesn't seem to be limited. And it's like, oh my God, just now when you did the first thing, it was like, how am I going to protect myself? How am I going to protect myself? That's what was going on in me.
Okay. Yeah, because I
believe you said the exact right thing. And I had a vision of it, but I was just so dang scared that if I turned to love, I couldn't protect myself, but she can protect me. That was the vision, but I was still scared.
Okay, got it. Really good feedback, because what's that saying is the Rambo in you needs to be there for, I'm presuming, protection of some kind, okay? You've got to go on the offense. If you don't go on the offense out there, the other side's going to get to you, okay? And all of that, all of which is a fiction, of course. That's not to say it's not a safe world, because there's a lot of unsafe things in it, but we're trying to get to a little different point here. That's why we need to do this more than once. Okay, so let's go through this metaphor again. There you are. You are Rambo. You are protecting yourself. You think you need to protect yourself. Okay, so does everybody else. Right? You think you need to protect yourself. Here comes the love, the vibration. The da 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 goes da 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 da, and this protection fades down to something which is of, let's call it, normal concern For example, you're not going to, after all of this, go off and kiss a rattlesnake. Okay, you have normal concern. Okay, you're not going to walk down a dark street at night, when who knows what is going to be in this dark alley or something like that. You're not going to do something stupid. You're going to have normal concern for safety. But we're looking at here is the over-the-top stuff. The over-the-top stuff is excess. Are you with me?
I think so, but not quite sure right now. And I get a little confused between now and the last 70 years. I used to walk down the dark alleys on purpose, but I would much rather not. And whenever I've been able to express love to another person, like even now when I sing love songs on the sidewalk, all the pain's gone. Everything's gone. I'm fine. I don't even feel like me. I just feel like an instrument to sing. But boy, I got scared when it's like I'm looking at Rambo right now, and he is really kind of doing what you said with this cloud around him. For some reason, I have no idea. I'm afraid, which is a form of resistance. I
of
can't.
Course. Yeah, of course. And we don't expect 70 years of self-protection and fears and I'm coming for you and so on to go away just because a cloud comes over Rambo once. All right. May take some repetition. That's the point. So let's do a little repetition and see what happens. Okay. So there you are. You're Rambo. You have all these protective mechanisms. You're good at it. Yeah, you have 70 years experience and so on. But you're also over the top. That movie, that's a movie, okay? It's an over the top kind of thing. It's a movie, all right? And whether there may be pieces of wars and stuff like that within it, it's still a movie. But there's the Rambo in you. And the Rambo is over the top. It is experiencing excess need to protect. Here comes the loving cloud. Ta-ta, 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 ta-ta. And also built within this Rambo is your fear. And we're going to address the fear now. And the purpose is to take the over-the-top fear down to normal concern, which is healthy in that way. So again, we're going to have the vibration, but this time it's going to be about the normal fear, or about the fear, the excess fear. The ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, here comes the loving cloud, and the fear, ta-ta, 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 ta-ta. And another time, here's your Rambo, but you also, we got to keep Rambo. We got to keep him. I'm coming for you. I've got to do this. I think. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not so much. Here comes the loving cloud. Ta-ta, 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 ta-ta. Give me a little feedback. Rod, is the fear still the same? Is it dwindling, getting worse? What?
I'm not sure. It's vibrating like crazy, but maybe I think a little better. But it's I'm not used to feeling quite like this. So
okay, well, let's do it another time. Here is this fear. This fear. I've got to be able to protect myself. And by the way, says Unseen Therapist, just so you are clear, Rod, you're not Rambo, okay? You don't have his muscles. You don't have his vibrant body. You don't have all of his training. You're nowhere near as good with a knife. Maybe you are, okay, as he seems to be. You can't really expect to take on a whole army of people and conquer everything and blow up a whole city and everything else, okay? All right. You're going to be left with Rod in his body, okay, for protection. You're not really Rambo, just like you're not Superman either, okay? You don't fly and jump over top buildings or high buildings and all that stuff, okay? You are Rod with normal concerns, with common sense protections, and so on. But you seem to think you need to be Rambo, okay? So, and you got to fear if Rambo isn't there to protect you. So, ta-ta, 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 here comes the fear, you know, here's a cloud, ta-ta, 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 come on. Come on, Rodbo. Rodbo, did I say that right? Rodbo. we don't really need to do all that, Rodbo, okay? Why don't we just be Rod for a little while, okay? Yeah, you get irritated, some people, whatever. That's sort of normal kind of stuff. But Wade, there's your key. There's your key to release. Whether or not Wade cooperates with this, what's really important is what you do with Wade. Can you leave him be? He is a source. He is a reason for Rambo to be there, Rodbo to be there. He's a source for that. And so now we're going to put Wade in with Rambo and your fear. We're going to add all that up together. Ta-ta, 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 ta-ta. And here comes the cloud. Unseen therapist. It need not be. Ta-ta, 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 ta-ta. And now let's finish up, Rod, with more of what we just did. In your own mind, put together Wade, Rodbo, whoever you want. Ta-ta, 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 ta-ta. Bring an unseen therapist and all the fear. And repeat it again. And again if you want. And again if you want. Until you've gone as far as you think you can go at this round, at this level. And then open your eyes and we'll talk.
I think, okay.
Are you still sweating?
Yeah. Well, I can see Wade filled with love. Never seen that before. I can see Rambo filled with love. Never even looked for that before. And then Rodbo, it's the structure is weaker than it was 30 minutes ago. It's there, as near as I can tell. But
okay.
What I had was the beginning of a strong belief. If Wade and Rambo can fill the sponge up, so can I. But and then I just sort of seemed like didn't get any farther.
Okay. All right. Now, this is my experience. this kind of unseen therapist session we just did, where I ramble on and we're trying to kick the center out of things and shift things and reframe and all of that, which is what that was about, is the kind of thing, and that's one reason we recorded this, because I'm going to send you the recording for you to go over that, fast forward if you want, but go to this unseen therapist session, and run it again and again and again. And I think the more you run it, the deeper the benefits become. And I suspect that it will start triggering other things. Oh, forgot about that. Something to work on. Forgot about that. Something to work on. It will be a launching pad for other stuff. That's my guess anyway.
Comment?
That's an oh man. I'm out of wisdom today, Rod.
Well, I have like three things. One, immense gratitude. I was really surprised that I started to get scared, and I knew that was the track. And so I'm not about to run, but two, I've never seen anybody simply, clearly, and in a way that didn't intimidate me, move into my space as much as you just did assisting the unseen therapist. And my thought is, God, where were you when I was 6 years old?
Where was I when I was 6 years old?
I just feel like something amazing is happening. Or will we be able to do this again?
I want to see what happens, and I'll talk to Sonia about this some as well, okay? But I want to see what happens as you do this a few times.
Which I will.
Okay. Now, I'm tired of looking at you. Can I see the beautiful wife for a moment?
And then I have a question while you're looking at my very beautiful wife. You have a tendency to go, and I say this lovingly, and I'm very grateful. You go for the juggler. You go for the meat. Yeah. And I can't believe that I'm sitting here sweating. And when I watched the cloud around Rambo, I got even more scared because I saw the possibility. And it was like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure that I'd rather have love than guns if in a dangerous situation. And I started remembering scenario. Another guy mugged me. I disarmed him. I took him to lunch. He was not a bad kid. And the love, the love that I felt enveloping Wade and Rambo and kind of Rodbo, that's it. I've been looking for that since the mid-1950s.
Okay. Well, it will take more repetitions of that to have it sink. Okay?
Yeah.
Because you just got exposed to it, is what happened. You got exposed to it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there needs to be some sinking going in. So anyway, let me turn to your wife. Lisa, what was your experience and all that? Were you able to follow along okay with that?
Yes, definitely. And, I was trying to feel like, am I doing this right in terms of being a surrogate? So I sort of had to let go of that. But I felt, in terms of the sponge, I could feel it right away. And it was just interesting because I felt like my thin body was becoming plump and, filled out as a love sponge, as the love poured in. But then it switched to just filling up the cells from the toes all the way up to just filling up each cell that was dry, just filling it up with love. And with with Rambo and Wade, when you said put them all together, I experienced, and I also with the love experienced relaxing, like just relaxing, a rest. And with Rambo and Wade, we were, and Rod as myself, we were 3 young children together holding hands in a circle outside, and just being with each other, all the same age, and not doing anything to each other, to hurt each other, but just being with each other, holding hands in a little circle. So.
Well, good. Okay. So let's close this up, but let me ask you something. I suspect that parts of what we did, maybe even most of what we did, would be very useful for other people, because I really haven't gotten down into the deep anger with people like we did here with you. Would you have any problem if I shared this with other students?
Yeah, I probably would do it though.
All right. Well, all right. So spend some time with the recording. I'll send it to you soon, today, and then get back to me.
Thank you so much, Gary.
Do it for like a week, every single day for an hour, and then let you know maybe a week later or what?
Yeah, something like that. You have to go at your own pace. You may want to do it twice a day. It depends on your, it takes energy to do this. Okay, so you have to pace yourself. But I would keep going until you've maybe getting bored with it, hit a wall, got out of it, whatever you're going to get out of it, and it's time to go to step 2. Okay.
This has been an
amazing
experience. I would not have been able to predict what just happened.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll hear from you. See you guys later, huh?
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.